Welcome everyone to the Speaking Part 5 Comparing and Persuading Analysis. Before we start, I want to let you know about our tips and strategies video. We can find that video in our CELPIP library in the Speaking Part 5. And this video will guide you through a step-by-step process about how you can prepare and how you can answer Speaking Part 5 more effectively. So, if you would like to get that information, please watch the video in the Speaking Part 5 section of our CELPIP library, and I will leave a link in the description box for that video. For now, I'm only going to go through each page of that tips and strategies guide. The guide informs you about how to read the question and how to prepare while you're reading the question. It's very good to understand the topic clearly, okay, and make a selection. Also, it's very important to note that in this question, we must use or try to use comparative language. That's very, very important. And for all of our responses, one thing that we can do, especially for higher levels, it's very important to have a very organized and well-structured response. And this is what I will use the most in our analysis. Also important to note about the factors which influence your score: ideas, vocabulary, fluency, speech, sentence construction and grammar, and of course, providing a complete response. Okay, now let's get started with today's question. Okay, everyone, let's look at today's question for Part 5, Comparing and Persuading. Okay, and the preparation time, as you can see, will be 1 minute for each part. Speaking time, 1 minute. Before we get started with this question analysis, I just want to remind you that over here I already have my choice. And I have your family member's choice. But in the real exam, let's just remember that in the real exam, they will tell you first to make a choice. It says choose an option, preparation time, and speaking time. So you see, if I just go here to the real exam, first they tell me the topic, and then I make a choice, and I have a minute preparation. Okay, and I've already made this choice here. That's the choice I made. It doesn't really matter which choice you make. I would say that you can choose the choice that you think is easier for you to speak, whatever you can understand better, whatever you could have more ideas for. You do have 1 minute to review that. So maybe whatever you are more familiar with could be better. Okay, but either choice you make, you will get the same second option. So you see here, it automatically goes to the next. So your choice and your family member's choice, and then you have another minute to prepare. Okay, and so I've already made that choice here, and that's what I'm going to analyze. Okay, so I've already made that choice, and so I have my choice and my family member's choice. So of course I will read both options. I've already read this one, right? Birthday clowns cost $100 for 2 hours. Children can watch comedy shows. Children can be involved in the show, and each child receives a balloon shaped like an animal of their choice. Okay. Now for the eating competition we have over here, it costs $300 for a variety of food. Children can take leftovers home. Children can eat as much as they want, which includes hamburgers, ice cream, onions, donuts, and spaghetti. Okay, so there are many ways to answer this, but I think the best way would be to try to say something of why each part of your choice, cost, children can watch comedy shows, and children can be involved in the show. Say why each part of your choice is better than the eating competition. And I think that that's the best way to answer this question. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And also, don't forget that I am following the structure in my, or the way to organize my response from our Speaking Part 5 guide, okay? Okay, so let's introduce the question. Again, the topic is we're trying to convince our family member that the clown show would be better for our niece's 9th-year birthday party. Okay, so let's start by introducing the question. Okay. If I had to persuade my family member to choose the clown show over the eating competition for my niece's 9th-year birthday bash, I'd make some convincing points. So again, we're introducing the question indirectly, not like we're speaking to someone directly. I find that speaking indirectly, it's stronger than speaking directly, but you can answer directly. Only a few things would change. Just in our case, for a higher level, 7 or definitely over 9, it's better to speak indirectly. Also said here, birthday bash. Whenever I can use a word that I know that is common for birthday parties, for example, birthday bash, whenever I can use that word, I will try to use it, okay? Or expressions or slang, okay? So now let's get to my first idea. Firstly, I say that my choice is better because it's $200 cheaper than the eating competition, which it is. Costs $100 for 2 hours. Here it's $300. Okay? So that seems very clear and direct. Again, I want to try to say one reason why each reason or each part of my choice is better than the eating competition. So it's $200 cheaper than, yes, here we have our comparative language. We need to try to use that comparative language as much as we can. Now, so what? So we're going to explain what it's $200 cheaper and what. This would be great because with the extra money, we could buy some snacks or gift bags for the guests. So there you go. So it's $200 cheaper. And then it says that's great. And it explains. So this explains here that with the extra money, gift bags, right? Gift bags. Children always want gift bags. So there we go. We gave that example. So that's good enough for the first idea. So now what's the second idea here? Secondly, I'd say that my choice would be much more interesting for children than the eating competition. Okay, so much more interesting. Again, we're using it or we're trying to use comparative language as much as we can. Don't forget that everything here in blue is just structure that's in our guide, okay? And so here's my idea. So now they need to explain how is it much more interesting? How? That's probably one we want to say here. As you know, children need to be entertained at the party, so the clown can make them laugh more easily with jokes and animation. Right, clowns are very animated, right? And they try to make children laugh with jokes. That's true. And then I'm going to say something here about the other side, but only eating could be boring and definitely messier. Okay, so there you go. You see, I gave a reason why it's much more interesting. And at the same time, I said why the eating competition it's not good because it's boring and messier for sure, all that food. Okay, so that's good. Also, keep in mind the language I'm using here. I'm using stronger language with modalities could be, could make, need to be entertained. That's modal passive. Okay. Could buy. And my comparatives more boring, definitely messier. Okay. All right, so let's get to my last idea here. Last but not least, I think the icing on the cake is that the children would have much more fun with the clown show because they could participate and they'd get balloons, which kids go crazy over. Well, very interesting one here. I see a very good expression that we can use when we're trying to convince someone. When we're trying to convince someone, the icing on the cake. Okay? The icing on the cake, it's an expression that means the best part or one more very good part. But I do think this one is the icing on the cake because, well, children love balloons, right? So that really is the icing on the cake or the best part, kind of like the cherry on top. Okay, but the expression that is most common is the icing on the cake when we're trying to convince someone. Again, would have much more fun is our comparative here. Okay. And the language, they could participate, they'd get. Okay. All right, so we do have a really good answer here. I think it is in that 7 to 9 range. For sure, 7 or 8, 9 or higher. I would say again that 9 or higher, it's not really about vocabulary or language or structure. It's all about delivery. It's about your fluency, it's about your clarity, and also your ideas, but mostly about delivery, the flow. This is very important. Okay. So for that, I'm going to be speaking this answer now in 1 minute, and I'd like you to focus on just how I speak it. I am going to try to speak it slowly, clearly, but continuously, of course, in 1 minute. But keep a close ear on the fluctuations in my speech. We want to make it sound natural or more like a native speaker, and it flows. It flows with some fluctuation in speech, not all one range, okay? So that's what you need to focus on. Okay, and again, just before I do that, again, this was convincing our family member about why the clowns would be better than the eating competition. And I tried to use every point here. I tried to use to give a reason why every point here is better, okay, than the eating competition. Okay, also keep on, even though I said language and structure is not that important for higher levels, it is in a way, because level nines especially, they should have this vocabulary as part of their regular vocabulary. They should know comparatives. They should know about modalities. Mhm. And these ideas are not very strong, okay? Um, and level nines, especially, they should have this vocabulary in their knowledge. Okay, so let me speak it now for 1 minute and for a minute and we can go from there. Okay, again, pay attention to my speech fluctuations as I go. Okay. If I had to persuade my family member to choose the clown show or the eating competition for my niece's 9th-year birthday bash, I'd make some convincing points. Firstly, I'd say that my choice is better because it's $200 cheaper than the eating competition. This would be great because with the extra money, we could buy some snacks or gifts for the guests. Secondly, I'd say that my choice would be much more interesting for children than the eating competition. As you know, children need to be entertained at the party, so the clown could make them laugh more easily with jokes and animation. But only eating could be more boring and definitely messier. Last but not least, I think the icing on the cake is that the children would have much more fun with the clown show because they could participate. And they get balloons, which, you know, kids go crazy over. Okay, there you go. I said it there. Within that minute, and I was trying to be as natural as I could. I think in one part, maybe I was going a little bit too fast, but I think it was clear. And also, I think it's possible to speak it even better in 1 minute. So, what we want to do to practice, everyone, is we want to try to speak this answer in 1 minute to practice, okay? Um, Definitely seven, eights, and nines. They should be able to understand every part of this answer. So if you can understand it, then you should read it several times and you should try to read it in 1 minute like I did. And then the icing on the cake would be that if you can speak it in 1 minute without reading and from your own knowledge, not memory, because definitely nines or higher, they could speak this from their knowledge, not from memory. Okay? Then that way you would know that you're at that level. So, everyone, don't forget practice makes perfect. See you next time. I would like to remind you that if you're looking for some more listening, reading, writing, or speaking CELPIP exam practice, then you should definitely subscribe to our CELPIP library. The CELPIP library has hundreds of examples of listening, reading, writing, and speaking, which will help you develop your score, whatever the score you need. Also, the library contains vocabulary, listening skills, reading skills, grammar, and writing skills exercises, which will really help you improve your general understanding of English and also for the exam. So, and you can purchase a 1 month pass or a 2 month or a 3 month subscription for a very low price. And of course, if you really enjoyed this content, then please like this video, share it, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way we will keep on producing more CELPIP analysis for your development. Have a great day.